This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, on a night today that started with the Spurs really needing a win, coming off two tough losses and a real rough road trip and a whole lot of criticism, I guess you could say tonight, they were a cut above, if you will. Welcome into the Spurs Postcast right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, of course, the number one sports podcast network in the world because of the everydayers like yourself. A good evening for the San Antonio Spurs tonight. 119-101, they take care of business against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the visiting Milwaukee Bucks, and the score wasn't even as close as that on a day that started with the Spurs going viral, of all things, for haircuts, if you will. He, of course, NBA champion Devin Brown. My name is Casey Viera. I guess you could say this was probably not the way we expected the day to start, to open social media and see Victor Wembanyama bald, Keldon Johnson bald, but they got off the plane from Oklahoma City yesterday, and they just got the idea in their head, you know what, we need a little bit of a restart. Had a tough week, shaved their heads. Guess it works so far. Bald Spurs era so far. They're 1-0.
Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to just wearing the white uniforms at home, black uniforms, switching it that way. But the bald look, Casey, they look great. I'm sorry, they look great.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Whatever, man. Whatever gets you across the finish line, right? Milwaukee's coming in. They're you know the bullet points by now. They're not good. Entered 17-23 on the season. Lost by 30 plus in their building to Minnesota earlier this week. Giannis got booed. The whole team got booed. Giannis was mad. So context amid all the trade rumors, things not going well on the broader scheme. And it did not particularly start well tonight, at least for the Spurs, because only a couple minutes in, Giannis and Wemby, they collide, and Wemby knocks knees with Freak over there, and it's the same knee that he bumped with SGA the other day. So 3 minutes or so into this game, Wemby checks out limping, and you're holding your breath, and you're saying, "Oh no, here we go again. What's next here?" What's next was that De'Aaron Fox played really well in that first quarter, picked him up, and ultimately San Antonio wins the first quarter 31-27. But Victor, thankfully, fine. He checked back in. He came back to the bench at the end of the first, and then he checked in right at the start of the second, and the team took off from there. And it was never really one of these games that was in doubt in any capacity. A 15-0 run midway through the second quarter ultimately propels them up to a 66-53 lead going into the break. A first half, Devin, that saw them shoot 54% from the field, hit 8 of their 16 threes. Third quarter, it turns even more. They outscore Milwaukee 40-16 in the third quarter. That, of course, has been a thing. Tonight it wasn't. Ultimately, the math reads through 3 quarters of play, 106-69, and was just kind of window dressing in the fourth from there, playing out the clock, ultimately leading to a 119-101 victory. Vic ends up with 22-10 in 22 minutes. He hit 5 of his 6 threes, 18-4-4 for Fox. Castle with 19-10. They hit over 40% of their threes for the first time since December 23rd. That was that blowout win in San Antonio over the Thunder. They needed a get-right game, and they got it tonight, and they look good in every facet.
And it's amazing how when you looked at it and you were looking a couple shows ago at this tough schedule, and you see this one, normally, when anything you mention with Giannis, that's a tough, basketball team, but tides have turned this year for them. But like we say, Casey, when you see them on the schedule and you hear about them getting booed at home and things like that, hey, we ain't got time for that. They're coming in here, wounded dog. We're going to kick them, beat them. And that's what the Spurs were able to do tonight. And they needed it. They needed to get back, shooting it, playing well at home, moving the ball around. And you saw a little bit of everything. Wemby 5 of 6 from 3. The only thing that I'm afraid of is if Wemby, and he will, because we're all basketball players, right? You go through another slump and he's got the little mini fro, he's going to go back to the bald look. I'm not going to mention the bald look anytime. Just going to say this, Casey, it's not for everybody, but to each their own, whatever. But back to what the Spurs did tonight. Casey, you saw execution. You saw one team that said, we're better than you, and we're going to show that. And really, in that third quarter is when they broke it open. Started in the second, but third quarter, they broke it open. Casey, they were phenomenal. You got to give them credit. They were phenomenal tonight.
Yeah, Milwaukee is one of those teams where you just hear the name Giannis Antetokounmpo and you're thinking, how are they 6 games under 500 bad? And then you see them out there on the floor and you're like, okay, that's a team that does not like each other. And that's a team that's caught right now, mired in a middle of drama surrounding their all-world player who may or may not want out of town. And they look the part of it. Go ahead.
It shows you how important Brook Lopez was for that team.
True. Yeah, true. Sometimes something is that. And it's interesting because I think the Lopez side of things, I think there was some sort of, I don't want to say drama, but fallout there too. In the trickle down effect, they're a mess, and the Spurs clearly picked up on that early, often, and they took care of business. Like I said, it was a 4-point game after one, and it never even felt as close as that. So credit to the Spurs. They needed one of these nights where they go out, set the tone, don't let the foot up off the gas, and just walk away from there. A turning point tonight, probably the second that third quarter whistle sounded.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Because need we be reminded, it was a real bad one in Oklahoma City the other day. For a first half, they were largely competitive, and as we know, game spirals. Minnesota, they up by 19 points. I know that was the third quarter, but out of a break into the fourth, game spirals out of control. Tonight, they're up double digits going into the half, and given the very recent history of some of these breaks in the third and fourth quarter, you're wondering, you're not necessarily worried per se, but you want to see the team close out, and they did, and they didn't skip a beat tonight. I thought Mitch did a very good job of riding the hot hand. He saw that Victor had it. It seemed like they didn't really get cute with the minutes direction. It was the numbers a little bit skewed tonight, and so maybe that's why he felt a little bit more liberal, if you will. He ended up playing 22 minutes, but remember, he sat essentially the entirety of the first and all of the fourth, so he played all but 2 minutes, I guess, between the second and third. But you just like to see them go out, take care of business in that third quarter, being able to read the room and propel. And it's so much more, everything looks so much more lighter and breathes so much easier when you make threes and you make your shots, right?
Oh, that's amazing, Casey. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's how that works. But this is what I want to say about that. We've beat San Antonio up, all season about their third quarter. So to see them play this way, to see them respond this way is great because, and I don't want to, be one of the people that are like, oh, the good teams, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about one team. Mm-hmm. OKC comes out in that third quarter almost every game, okay? And they put their foot on your neck and they try to get rid of you. That's why SGA sits so much in the fourth quarter. All right. So if the Spurs can start playing this way, all right, this is going to be what they're going to be the rest of the year. And this is going to be a phenomenal basketball team. Vic didn't have to use that much energy. You got it's coming from everywhere, right? You got everybody stepping up. So Casey, hats off to them for a brilliant third quarter, this ball game.
We talk so much about the streak shooting on this team, and over the past 3 weeks, we've seen the low end of the streak, and now you hope that we're back on the ascension side of things. When you see an offense that's so bipolar, if you will, when it comes to the consistency of shooting threes. I have the number. I dropped my notes. Let me bring it back up. Wemby hit 5, Fox hit 3, Castle hit 1, Champagny hit 3, Keldon hit 1, and Harrison Barnes. It was a good night for Sean Elliott.
He's playing? Harrison Barnes is back playing?
He's back playing. Yeah. He returned, Mr. 100 back in full form. He knocked a couple threes down as well. What was the point? Oh, I know the point I was getting at. The sustainability of something like this, how does it, I guess, kind of register, and do you build off that and not worry about a regression of sorts? Or is this just kind of one of these things you just ride the wave and it is what it is,
No, first of all, the next game, Minnesota's going to have a different game plan.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to, their defense is a little bit more advanced at this point than Milwaukee's is. You know, that's being nice, Casey. I don't know. Milwaukee is like out there playing pickup right now, right? Minnesota is not. Minnesota is right in the thick of things. So they're gonna get the ball out of Vic's hands. Okay, so that 5 for 6 for him looks really good. Okay, but now these guys around him are gonna have to knock their shots down. Minnesota likes to, leave it up to Harper and Castle. So it's gonna be a different game plan. So to answer your question, well, yeah, you want to sustain it, but that'd make coaching a lot easier. But with this group right now, it's kind of up and down. So right now, hey, you praise those guys for knocking their shots down, but next game, you're gonna really, really need the 3 ball to beat Minnesota.
Yeah, let's talk about that next game a little bit because, as we know, up 19 points in the third quarter didn't work out their way. Actually, they owe them twice because Minnesota has beaten them twice as many times. This is the third and final meeting between the two teams, barring the playoffs, of course. Let's hit on that and maybe some other things coming up on the other side of the break here on the Spurs postcast right here on Locked On Spurs following victory tonight for San Antonio, dropping their 2-game losing streak, getting back on the right side of the ledger after a 119-101 blowout victory against the Milwaukee Bucks. But before we do, let's have a conversation about Wayfair first. They're coming up big this time of year, the new year, as we know. And it's the perfect time to reset your routine, refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and it feels. And that's why you should go to Wayfair. From everything from bedding to mattresses to storage solutions for every single room in your house or wherever it may be, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. They got everything you need for your full home refresh. By now, I'm a dad of a little one, and if you have a little one, the refresh side of things is a very fluid aspect of it. I got Devin in the window nodding. He's got 4 little ones. He agrees. So get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head on over to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Hey, Fridays tomorrow, you're really going to want to listen to this because, as we know, they're really starting to feel different in basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend. How they doing it with something called NBA Happy Hour. It's your official pregame, they like to say what it is, and it's a limited time window where special offers they drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays, 6 to 7:30 Eastern time. Appointment viewing. Why? Well, you pop open the app, you get ready to, put some numbers down on the night, and they have every single way to try to make you more money. Boosts, bonuses, surprises. So before tip-off, check out that FanDuel app, see what's dropping for NBA Happy Hour. Again, every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern with NBA Happy Hour, of course, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Spurs winners tonight on the better side of things in a victory that they needed, and they got back on the right side of things heading into a little bit of a grudge match against Minnesota, a team that I've gone on here, so I probably got to reiterate it again. I'm looking for some sort of positivity to believe that the Spurs are not as bad a match for the Timberwolves as I consistently say they are.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at times I watch them against Oklahoma City and I watch them against Minnesota. And I know if you want to look at the immediacy against Oklahoma City, it's not great. But I also look at the way they played against Minnesota, and it just seems like a bad fit all the way around because the physicality has gotten to them, got to them the other day. Their inability to get stops, and the fact that Anthony Edwards is a top 10 player in the world, top 7 player in the world, depending on who you want to have a conversation with in the day. Erasing the thought of less than a week ago from a player's perspective, or do you erase it? I mean, I'm sure you take the notable stuff, the productive stuff out of it, but how much is it good to face another team like that you had such a tough loss and just such an immediate quick time span? I guess that will be a week, less than a week, 5 days.
Well,
Correct?
no, you'll be ready to go. Minnesota's got your attention. They've beat them twice in Minnesota. They'll San Antonio will be alert.
Mhm.
Minnesota's a good basketball team. They're well coached. They're right there. They've had these deep playoff runs the last few years, whereas San Antonio hasn't been in the playoffs. So Minnesota's not scared of San Antonio, not one iota. So San Antonio has something to prove in the fact that you know you got two guys that are going to be going against each other that are on the same national team. And, some of what we talked about on the squad show, Wemby needs to, and I know it would be hard because, I know he probably loves Rudy, looks at him as a older brother. But when I look at the matchup and I look at the previous games, Rudy does some disrespectful stuff out there. And I know that they're friends and things like that, but Wimpy needs to, and I'm sure he will. He'll be up for this game, playing against Rudy. But like you said, Anthony Edwards is tough because Keldon, Anthony can bang with him. Castle, Edwards is very crafty, so he's not going to feed into what Castle is trying to do. So if you're going to go with, I think like Sohan should get some minutes against Anthony Edwards. My point is, Casey, you got to give him a couple different looks because Anthony Edwards is that good.
He was
And when
fantastic.
he's fantastic, yeah. When he goes to that fourth quarter and they put those five, players out there and DiVincenzo, Nas Reed, they're going to spread you out. And that's when I worry about San Antonio.
Mhm.
So make sure, the Spurs are there for 3 quarters. That fourth quarter, when Minnesota goes with that lineup where they spread you out, just make sure that we can shoot the 3 with them.
You're talking about Vic and Rudy. They have the same haircut now, too.
Here we go again, Casey, with that haircut. Hey, man. Hey, man. Yes.
What would you say is, again, remember we have ad sponsors. What would you say was the weirdest superstition that you came across somebody in your career?
Oh, man. Not just, I don't know. Just, I'll keep it simple. Just when I heard that when someone was playing good, they would drive to the game the same exact way. So if there was traffic, they get on the access road and go through. If you're trying to cut through a neighborhood or so,
Yeah.
and they would do the same exact thing. And I'm like, okay. I found that odd.
Yeah.
Because like myself, now here's where it gets really interesting. And I learned this from Tim Duncan. When you're on 281, that lane all the way to your left, past the fast lane, is the shoulder.
Yeah.
Just drive on that. We're Spurs. Just drive on that.
Hang your jersey out the window, they'll get the idea.
Hey, no. When I saw that all black on black Porsche flying through there, I was like, that's my teammate. You know what? I didn't know he could do this.
What? So you didn't have anything of note like that?
But no,
I know it's not. I mean, you could have shaved your head because you got a great head of hair. What, 46? You're 46?
47.
47?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's just nothing but juices and berries. I'll tell you what, the closest I came to that, Casey, when I played for New Orleans, I used to go to Acme Oyster House all the time.
Great,
Oysters Rockefeller.
Great. Fantastic.
So if I was playing good, I 12, 24, all the time.
And that's the closest you got to it.
That's the closest I got to it.
Okay. I feel like that's more of a baseball thing, perhaps.
I think so too.
Hey, I wonder what the superstitions for our player of the game tonight.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And I realize as soon as I say that, I hope you don't say Victor, because we just had a big conversation about Victor's superstition. But I don't know who you're going to say, so go ahead.
I'm going to go at De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
He answered the bell tonight.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention, not a whole lot, to social media, but I'm pretty sure they were beating him up. 9 shot attempts, came back. He played well tonight, Casey.
He did. We have get right game listed there in the bullet points, and I think that was very much a get right game and a much needed get right game for him. Before we get out of here, we talk about building sustainable programs and cultures, things like that. Need everyone in the chat to give a collective applause to Mr. Devin Brown over there, because in year 1 over there with the FCA Hoplites, district champions tonight. So congratulations, my friends. The first step of laying the foundation, one of many.
I'll tell you what, the players answered the bell, and they stepped up, made plays down the stretch, and very happy for our Founders basketball team, our varsity basketball team. Great job tonight, guys. Great job.
That's a very modest coach's approach. I appreciate the analytical expression of that. Well done.
When I get off this podcast, I'm gonna go crazy.
That said, I think that's a good place to leave it, so Devin can go party, so he can pop the champagne. Next time we're going to be getting together, of course, Saturday following Timberwolves Spurs right here on the Spurs Postcast on Locked On Spurs. It's Thursday, so Friday, Jeff Garcia will, of course, have another edition of the title pod, the day-to-day title pod for you. Right here on the channel. And as we always do when we get out of here, we show love to you guys, the everydayers who make all this possible. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on the way out the door, because I was looking, we're pushing 10,000 subs almost on the channel. So if you want to be lucky number 10,000, we would certainly appreciate the love on the way out, just like we always do. So yeah, good night. All love tonight at the Frost Bank Center as San Antonio takes care of the Bucks. 119-101 Saturday night. Anthony Edwards, Minnesota Timberwolves in town. It's going to be a lot of fun. So for my dear friend, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. Everybody, enjoy your Thursday night. Enjoy your Friday. We'll talk to you again on Saturday.